How's everybody doing? Tinkering with Harleys. I want to thank those of you who have subscribed, and if you watching these videos and enjoy them, by all means, please subscribe. Well, we're still on that Sportster. As you can see behind me, the tank's off. The tank is out for paint. And we've finally started getting parts in so we can start putting this thing back together. We got our wheel bearings in, and we're going to put the wheel bearings in the rear wheel today. So that's what we're going to show you. Okay, here's the parts we got in. We got the axle adjusters here. We got the crown nut, the spacers, new axle, new wheel bearings, and brake shoes. Now, we've already put the brakes on the rear. These are going to go on the front when we get to it. But today we're going to be installing these. So that's what we're going to get to. So we're going to get right to it. Okay, these are the bearings we're going to be putting in. And when you put these in, you always put them with the numbers facing out. So that would be here. You can see the numbers right there. I'm not sure if you can see them or not, but so the first thing we do is we put a light coat of anti-seize on the outer side of the bearing. So we'll do both bearings at one time, so we're not quite so messy. You put a light coat on like that, and this allows the bearing to slide in fairly easy. When I said I used to do this the old way on the last video, the old bearings we used to knock out with a drift. And the older style bearings were easy to do it that way. These new seal bearings with the new wheels, much, much tougher. I've done it, and it's not fun. Okay, there's one. And we'll do both at the same time here. You don't need a whole lot of this. Just spread it around there like that. And that's pretty much got it. So we'll put both those back. And we'll get the anti-seize off of there. And now we're going to take and we're going to put some anti-seize inside the wheel where the bearings will seat. Okay, now we got the inside here of the wheel nice and clean. If you remember, there was quite a bit of crud in there from the last video. So now we're just going to put a light coat of anti-seize in here. So that way the bearing slides nice and easy once we get it squared up and make sure everything is going in correctly. And that should do that. And we'll do the other one when we get to put the bearing in on the other side. So now we'll start to get this thing ready to put in. Now this is a tool I'm going to be using to install it. This is the first time I've ever used this tool. This is the rod you use to install it. This is the backing plate that goes on one side, and you have to pick the right piece. And these are 3/4 inch bearings. So what you do is you insert it in the bearing like that so it holds the bearing nice and tight. So now we're going to start to put this in. Okay, now this is the rod we use to stick through the wheel right through there. And this is the backing plate that goes on here first, just like this. And you take the wheel and you stick it through the other side, just like that, and insert it into the hole on the other side. We're going to oil this up here. I use Marvel Mystery Oil, like I said on the last one. Just put a little bit so that when you get the tension on it, you're not straining it too bad. Okay, that's got that. We'll put this, double check, make sure that the numbers are facing out, and they are. And then put the nut and washer back on it. Like that. There's the washer. And there's the nut. Long-legged thing it is. Yeah, and this really does make it easy. Well, like I said, this is the first time I've used this to install a bearing or bearings. So we're going to see how good it works. Now you want to line that bearing up so it doesn't scuff in there. You want to make sure it's straight. We'll take some of the slack out of this. Just like that. Okay, now we want to make sure that's straight. And it appears to be. Now the backside bolt that you have to hold is a 3/4, and I'm going to use a ratchet to hold that, and this front is a 7/8. So we're going to get, okay, we're on that. And now we're going to start to tighten this. Yeah, doing a good sliding in there. Oh yeah. And you just crank this down until it bottoms out. And that's it, it's seated. Can't turn it anymore. So we'll run this out. Okay, that's that. And we'll pull this out. Pull the bit out. And give it a check. Oh yeah. That's seated in there nice. There we go. Now we're going to do the other side. Okay, now we're set to do the other side. So it's basically going to be the same as the other side was, with one exception. So we'll take and we'll put the installer through there with the backing plate. Just like that. And here is the exception. Your spacer. You want to make sure you get that spacer in there. Just like that. Because if you put it all together and you don't have the spacer in, you're going to be in trouble. So again, we get the number side facing out. We put the bit in, just like this. Slide it in there. And get the nut and washer started. Get as much slack out of there, and then make sure everything is lined up straight, which it appears to be. It's starting to go in there already. And before we do this, we'll check the back side to make sure the backing plate's even. And it is. So we'll get our ratchet on the back end here. And the ratchet's on there. And now we will start to tighten this. And that's sliding in there real nice. And when it bottoms out, it's seated. And that's seated. That one's done. That off of there. And rod out. Whoops. And that's seated. I can feel the spacer in there. I can feel the spacer on the other side. They're butted up against the inner race on these. So now this wheel is ready to go back together. We'll put the pulley back on here, and we can now get this back on the bike. So that's pretty much going to do it for today. So until the next time, everybody be safe out there.